And we are live. We're with Roger from MotoCaddy with the wonderful Masters flag right behind him there. I got to ask, is it signed? Is it just the last one you were at?
So it's one and only one that I was at, and of course the first one we got to do Berkman's place. For those that know about Berkman's, it's pretty special. So with that being the first one, I don't know if it gets much better than that. I know that we'll talk Cobra in a bit, but was with a recent marketing Cobra marketing manager that I went with there. Phenomenal trip, and Berkman's is special. So that one's going to stay on the wall, I think, for a long time.
Well, we got guys populating in here, and you kind of mentioned it. Went to the Masters with Cobra. Can you kind of tell people, because you haven't been with MotoCaddy for 20 years, they're fairly new to the North America side, and we can dive into that in a little bit. How did you end up here? Like, can you give us the career timeline?
Man, it's a whole lot of luck. We'll put it that way. So I was with Cobra officially for 13 and a half years. I was actually the tech rep for them when I was playing college golf in Arkansas. So I was a tech rep with them from 03 to 07, and finished school and knew that this is where I wanted to be, Carlsbad, specifically with Cobra. Was fortunate enough to meet a few Cobra guys that had an extra room. So packed up a U-Haul and drove out west without a job. A little scary, but like I said, knew this is where I wanted to be. So without a job for a few months, didn't realize the, I guess, cost difference even back then between Arkansas and Carlsbad, California, San Diego. So pretty much thought I was going to go broke in about 2 weeks. Fortunate enough to get in with them actually in a temp role. So I was a temp for 8 months.
Wow.
That finally became
I didn't know that part.
Yep. My job was to coordinate the sell-off of used fitting and demo product. So I did that for
I
8
could
months.
use some of that.
I know that was that was a full-time get on the phone, send out call tags gig. Obviously, best thing that I could have got in. And
we got an early question to interrupt you since you mentioned Carlsbad. Dean would like to know if you like Hungry Bear.
Hungry Bear. I've actually never been to Hungry Bear.
That's disturbing.
Probably sad enough. I was definitely introduced to In-N-Out here the first time. I think the first week I moved to, so that's the staple.
So I interrupted you back to you were selling.
Yeah, where were we? Yeah, no. So that was our. I think we probably had the biggest fitting cart on the market, and not number of clubs, but the size of this cart was about a short bus, if you will. So. That was a temp role for about 8 months, finally became full time. From there, I've always kind of been good with Excel, computers, data. So became a sales analyst at Cobra. About a year after that, we were sold to Puma. So 2010, we officially sold and became Cobra Puma Golf. So I had a good long run there. Lots of different roles. I think I had 7 positions in that 13-year span. So my most recent, I was director of sales operations for Cobra and Puma Golf for the US. This opportunity came up in 2020. So it seemed like a good idea to make a massive career move and launch a company here during the heart of COVID. So I've been with MotoCaddy for about a year and a half now. I'm in charge of the Americas. So specifically the US market, taking on additional responsibility in Canada. We've got distributor in Chile, some in Mexico, Bermuda, etc. So MotoCaddy is a brand, for those that don't know, are in year 18. So founded in 2004, UK-based company, largest manufacturer of electric caddies, as we're calling them here in the US. That was funny side topic. One of the first conversations I had with the UK team is, if we're going to bring this here, let's make it a little more American. So trolleys, if they will, over the UK side, electric caddies to me just explains really what this product is. So the largest manufacturer of UK caddies in the world, but really just about a year and a half here in the States. So we're headquartered here in Carlsbad, sales, service, distribution, our warehouse, etc. And it's been a fantastic, really, really crazy year and a half trying to get this going.
we're going to dive into MotoCaddy quite a bit, but for some of these people following along, there's an event with your former company, Cobra Puma, happening, and people have signed up. And tomorrow, some people get announced to be on this. Now, this is the Morgan Cup, and it's Jose, who you worked with well and know him well. I remember you on off course telling Dan, he asked if it was a rivalry with Jose, and your response was it's only a rivalry if one side ever wins.
That wasn't supposed to come out, and you're bringing it back up. But
and Mike Yagley, who you also know very well.
Very well.
Mike is with Team Hackers. Jose is Team Paradise. If you had to pick one, which way would you side as a prediction?
Ooh, well, I will say probably the two best guys in golf. Unbelievable. Jose, I mean, you could have a chat with him for 3 days straight, and Yags might be the smartest guy that I've ever met. We always joke where we say, golf isn't rocket science. That guy's a rocket scientist. That's literally what he did before golf. It's unbelievable. Longevity, I'd say that I'm always Team Hose, but he's had a little rough stretch here the last, and I can say that we're member guest partners as well. So, the last year hasn't been too kind to him. So, I haven't seen how Yags is playing, but, I'd say over the course of the career, Hose all the way. But I think Yags has maybe a little leg up on him right now.
Interesting. I like it. So for those following along, Team Hackers might have a little edge this year. Jose mentioned that he's got some hip issues, and he's about 65 now. So don't worry, he's not watching.
Perfect. So, well, I'll tell you, JB, cocktails come into a big play though, because I think the more Mike drinks, the worse he gets. That's when Hose starts stepping it up. When he has to hit the one in the middle, he dials it in. So I think they probably flip on the back.
Interesting. Yeah, that I could see that taking place. Hose holds his cocktails rather well. Now, we kind of have gone all over the topics here, but I had a question from somebody who I'm going to be gentle here and say this came from a person at a different OEM they make golf clubs, and they are a user of a competitor of yours. And I won't read the exact question, but it starts with an expletive about their cart flipping up.
Yep.
And he saw a video I posted, and it wasn't meant to disparage any of them. I have both carts, and I like both carts, but one cart popped and the MotoCaddy stayed straight. And I told this person that he's an engineer. He should know that battery placement and weight will play a big role there. Was this something thought up from MotoCaddy, or did it just kind of happen that way? Why is that one seem more stable in our testing than the other ones?
Yeah,
I think three.
Yeah, I think you hit it. Battery placement, really weight in general is everything, especially who you're speaking of being an engineer. We talk CG all the time on golf clubs, and it really relates in a different way to electric carts. That lithium battery, it's about a 5-pound battery. And, I would say different manufacturers maybe have different thoughts in their design, different things they're trying to accomplish, whether it be, ease of placement, maybe for others. For us, it's a no-brainer. You got, if you're going to have a good 5-pound battery, that's got to be in the center of your cart. It has to. So as soon as you start putting that really towards the back or the sides or anywhere else, it's going to tip. And really that's what it is. So absolutely designed specifically for where it is. It's in the dead center, CG, if you will, to really make it the most stable product on the market, to keep that from tipping. And with that fourth anti-tip wheel, for those instances that it does, still not going to flip. It's going to, if it pops a wheelie, it's going to hold its ground pretty well, but eliminate tipping. It's a big thing with steering. If you're going down, side slopes, if you will, whenever that CG is in dead center, it's going to just, move even more offline. So
now you guys released some new carts, and obviously getting products for all companies in golf right now is a challenge. Can you kind of walk everybody through the lineup, and then we're going to ask people to start throwing their questions at you? Because as an M5 user and M7, I really like the GPS. I've been waiting for this model. I didn't know it was coming, but I've been waiting for this model. What's changed in the other models before we get to M7 GPS?
Sure. Yeah. So we've got 3 models of electric that we sell here in the US. And I'll say that, the full range between all the different options, they're pushing probably 16 to 18 different options in the UK. Knowing that we are a bit new here into the States, wanted to make sure that we were extremely focused on what we thought the need of the consumer was going to be, rather than, I guess, water it down too much, be really, really focused on what we're trying to do. So we've got 3 electric here. The M7, we'll start with that, is our one remote model. Remote certainly dominates in the electric space in the US. And it's pretty interesting, JB. It's almost complete opposite in the UK. So, that market, they're 90% walking. I think the stat is about 80% use electric. And they're heavy non-remote. And I think that maybe the difference is when I say, non-remote, it is still electric. So we'll get into our other 2 products, but, I think the difference being the US consumer is still fairly new to electric caddies, where it's been around 30 years in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time it got here, remote was a thing. So I think they just correlate. If it's electric, it needs to have a remote. So, but that's probably, I would say 85% of our business here in the States is the remote model. Fantastic. That's the one product that we did update a bit this year. It's got a little bigger screen. We updated the wheels to a 5-spoke wheel. We added a slot on the top of the frame to house the remote versus just the side, so a little easier access. So those are the changes to M7
That's nice
remote.
for when you're walking up to the green. You don't have to pocket it. You can just slide it on there.
Exactly. M5 GPS is, as you had kind of mentioned, my favorite product in just the tech that's involved. So again,
I love that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my text messages from friends come through as I'm playing. It does everything right on the screen. I never have to bring my phone out for anything.
Yep. Yeah. Super cool product. So again, electric, no remote with that product, but still, like I said, electric. So, as a user to start it, you turn the dial on the handle, set the speed, hit the button, you're walking with it, hit the button to stop. So it still is, the closest thing that you can get to a caddy carrying your clubs. But with the 3.5-inch color LCD GPS screen on the handle, gives you front, middle, back, distances to hazards, round timer. You can measure distances on shots. Like you said, Bluetooth connectivity to your phone for those that like to be connected, but not have their phone in their pocket. So if you get a phone call, text message, Facebook notification, you can pretty much
it does Facebook notifications, which I found out.
you can set any of the notifications that you want. The good thing is you can also turn them off for those that just want to get away. And then M1 DHC is our entry model. So same thing, electric, non-remote. It has pretty much the same functionality as the M5 without the GPS. Good product there for those that want to get into the electric side of carts, but maybe don't want to spend the money for the, what we'll call top of the line. It's $450 difference between M1 and M7. So for those that want electric, but don't necessarily need that remote, M1 DHC is a phenomenal entry price point. DHC comes on all 3 models. That's downhill control. So if you're going down a grade, it kind of slows down to keep up your pace so it doesn't get away from you, which is a great feature. So those are the 3 currents.
And I'm going to start bringing questions in because people are asking questions about some of your other products, and I think it would be best. Dean asked about the Pro 5000 laser, which is just cool.
Absolutely. So we're probably looking around end of May for this product. And when people ask me kind of what is MotoCaddy, it's more than just electric carts, right? So we want to be the ultimate caddy brand. So anything a caddy can do for you, those are the products that we're going to focus on, bring to market, support. Having our first rangefinder here in the US is exciting. But again, in doing that, we didn't want to just bring another rangefinder because certainly a caddy can tell you distances, but they tell you more than that. So Pro 5000 will give you actual distance. You can flip slope on and off. It also Bluetooths to a free GPS app that we offer on your phone. So you'll actually be able to see front and back of the green distances through the scope, through the sight, rather than,
so cool,
having to look at a phone or looking at the side of your unit. So literally on the scope itself, actual slope, front, back. I mean, pretty much everything a caddy would tell you. pin lock, it'll vibrate. It's going to be a phenomenal unit, and doing it at a $299 price point. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're bringing a lot of features for a product that, maybe some competitors are in that kind of mid-4s, mid-5s price point, bringing a lot of value.
And it connects to your MotoCaddy.
Yeah, so the case itself has a clip that, or a slot, I should say, that clips to the accessory station on the handle. So it's right there for you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
so this one
it's
came from the forum. That's an interesting one. Will the batteries? I've never thought of this. Will the batteries last longer if you use it at slower speeds?
Say 4 and 6 is, maybe, but honestly, our batteries last so long that I think by the time you would be running out, I mean, it's even if you could run that thing at 7 or 8, and on most courses get 36 holes out of a charge. So
I can tell you, if you're setting it at 7,
you're running
like the M5, you're moving fast.
You're moving.
Most people say I walk very fast, and 5 is a good pace. 6 is moving.
Yeah, generally 5 out of that 9 is going to be your walking pace. But like I said, it's 18 holes, no problem. At my course, it's a pretty flat course. Greens are close to tee boxes. I'll constantly get 54 holes after, out of a charge. Certainly recommend for those out there, charge after every round just to make sure that you're up and going. And for longevity, the battery, keeping that fully charged is beneficial. But I wouldn't worry about it.
I forgot to charge mine before, and I got 36 and then another 5 or 6 holes, and it didn't go dead. I just stopped at 5 holes. So it's definitely up there. Is the footprint different on the 3 models when they're folded up?
It's not. They're the super compact folding. They'll for maybe reference, they'll fold up about the same size as a regular push cart, a click gear, a sun mount, etc. on the footprint size. Wheels are easy to pop on and off, and you can actually pop them off and invert them to save you probably 4 inches, 5 inches on each side to fit easier in a trunk of a car. So it's about as compact as you can get.
Ernie asked if the carts have recommended limitations on slope and grade. My course has some pretty decent hills that you're going to find out when we do this event, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I haven't seen anything that would cause a problem.
I haven't faced a slope that this won't go up, and having the DHC on all 3 models going down is not an issue. So obviously with regular push carts or models that don't have the downhill control, I might be a little hesitant on slopier courses, not only for it getting away from you, but if you're holding onto it, pulling you down I
can tell you at our event, hole 4 on my course, and Dan and some of the others who have played it before can attest to this, that are in the chat, is downhill par 5, and we will be having a race.
Perfect.
Al wants to know, can you talk a little bit about the cart bags? Because there's actually one behind me, and I'm not joking when I say if you could see the whole bag. My clubs are in there. That is my bag. That's what I use. It's the only bag I use. It locks in perfectly. But the auto lock system is pretty interesting because it's not exactly the same as the others I've seen in this space.
Yeah, I'll say first and foremost with our bags, you can use any bag with our cart, and you can use our bag with any other cart. So if that makes sense, it's not that you have to use a MotoCaddy bag with our product. But I will say, all of our bags are specifically designed for walking carts. So the way that the top is angled, where the pockets are, to make sure everything is sticking out versus, in the back of it. They're very much designed for, like I said, any of the walking carts. Easy Lock, which is our patented locking system, is got to be the easiest to use, lock kind of ever made. So essentially,
well, you do nothing. You literally put it on the cart and it's in its place and it locks in. It's pretty amazing. I keep thinking I need to do something else, but there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. So essentially there's 2 metal pins that ship with the bag. They're actually in a little plastic bag that's, tied on, and when you get the bag, you just screw the 2 pins into the base of the bag. They're inset, so they won't hit the ground as you're setting the bag on the ground.
No, they don't. It's sitting there on our bar behind me right now, and you can't see them or anything.
There you go. And in all of our carts, electric and push carts, there's basically 2 holes in the base of the cart that those pins just set in. So it removes any kind of twisting. You don't need the bottom strap, which is nice. I guess you don't realize how nice it is not to have to strap the bottom until you don't have to strap the bottom. So then the only strap
That's
is
a good
up
point.
top, and and you know, and especially those as people have mentioned, the kind of bumpier terrain or bigger slopes, it just alleviates all fear of that bag falling off the cart, which is, you know,
Yeah.
one less big thing that you're going to worry about. And is a concern for a lot of push carts on the market. Is just, I hit a bump and the cart falls off the side or whatever it may be. This eliminates that completely.
So this goes on with another question I had on the forum, which was the tenure and the length of the battery life in general, not per hole, but years.
Yep.
And how expensive are they? Do you guys offer replacements? I know you do warranty service,
Yep.
but what kind of work is that?
Yeah, we do offer replacements. The good and bad thing about lithium is they are by far the best way to go, longest lasting, safest battery on the market, but they're expensive. So replacement batteries are $349 to replace here in the States, but we have the longest warranty period on our batteries. So we offer a 5-year warranty on the battery itself.
Wow.
It'll go longer than that, but our warranty period, I mean, you'll probably outrun the cart before needing to replace the battery.
Yeah, one of the benefits of lithium in general, I learned from the golf cart side of the business, is when you're 50% full, you don't lose any performance.
Right.
It continues to run as is. Whereas in my golf cart, for instance, if I'm 50% full, I better take it back to the charger.
Yeah, on lead acid, that's the biggest difference for sure. So
interesting question. How hard are these to push if the battery does run out? I've never actually tried that, which is kind of surprising.
So we have a kind of engaged, non-engaged mode on the electric cart. So I'll say if the wheels are engaged to the motor, it's pretty hard to push. The good news is it's really easy to disengage. So what you would do is the kind of locking button on the side of the wheels that you use to push the wheels on. If you push them all the way in, pull them out slightly, you'll hear a click. And that's where it's kind of clicked into the engaged to the motor. To get it into freewheel mode, you're just going to push that button again, slide it out just slightly, and it'll click again. And that disengages the motor and makes it into a heavier push cart, if you will. And then it's really easy to push. So obviously suggestion is when you're ready to use electric again, make sure you push the wheels back on all the way.
Now, if a person is not mechanically inclined and they're assembling their unit for the first time and they don't push those all the way in, would it still work electric?
So you'll see the rotors turning, but
the wheels
be going forward because they're not engaged to the wheel. And I'll tell you, one great thing about our product, JB, you brought up a good point there. For those that aren't maybe mechanically inclined or have trouble putting things together, as you know, being a user, all you need to do is put the wheels on. Everything else is done. So
yeah, it actually did really come completely assembled other than the wheels.
No assembly required. Exactly. So all you got to do is pop the wheels on and you're good to go.
I'm not going to call out another company, but I did receive another company cart, and it came in a box that reminded me of when I got one of those mattresses that was like a king size mattress, but the box is like this big. And it took me hours to put this thing together. I had to call my wife. She had to come up here, and she's looking at me like, I'm not doing this. But she ended up helping because that's what she does. Brent's an interesting question as well. Is there any advantage of going non-remote other than cost? Now, you and I, up until this year, had a differing opinion on this. You always said M7 because it's the best. I love that GPS unit. Now, you guys have fixed that fixed it.
Right.
With M7 GPS, but otherwise, outside of cost, you would always say go top of the line, right?
Well, you know, honestly, why I would say other than cost, why there's no advantage in going, obviously M5 is a different animal because of the GPS unit, but if someone was looking to go M1 versus M7, but they didn't know if they wanted that remote, you could still use M7 the same way that you use M1. So you don't actually have to use the remote with that unit. You can still set the speed, on the handle, push the button, walk with it, which is also a great feature if you're maybe going across bridges or you're by a putting green or maybe in a real crowded area where you don't want to use that remote. You certainly don't have to. So that's where I'd say M7 is kind of the best of both worlds because it has the remote option, but you don't have to use it. Other than that, price is a big difference. So
yeah. So Joe asked, are you selling or leasing these to courses? And the answer is yes, you are. I mean, that's part of your job.
We are both. Yeah. So we do have a direct site, which is great. I really think that this is a product that you need to try. So similar to what we used to say on the club side, really wanting to get this into where golf is played. So green grass is a huge focus, just getting it in people's hands, and then it kind of sells itself. So we do have a lease model that is it's going well. We're kind of not only year 2 here in the States, but to be honest, when we set up business here in the middle of all the supply chain fun, we really didn't even have product until the end of April last year. So this is kind of our first spring, which is great.
Yeah.
And tough to get product in green grass, especially something like this when you're, early summer and they're booked, and especially with rounds played as crazy as last year was. So we do have rentals in quite a few courses and growing quickly. So
I'm putting this one up on the screen because a number of people asked, and we kind of covered it. We don't really know the lifespan other than you guys have a 5-year warranty, and they're going to go longer than that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we certainly have product out in the field that consumers have had for 10 plus years. So obviously no surprise to get much more than 5 years out of a battery. But 5 years is covered, the full warranty. So we have a 2-year warranty on the cart, 5-year on the battery. So yeah, I certainly expect it longer than that, but at least 5, or we covered it, no charge.
What are the weight restrictions of the cart? This is actually a question I was thinking about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Winter with the layers, staff bag. Donnie, really staff bag? That seems like a bad idea. But anyway, are there any weight restrictions? How much can it hold?
I wouldn't recommend a fully grown man hopping on and riding it around the course. Other than that,
I feel like you're talking about me
or me. We might have tested this thing out when we signed on. So, it's a powerful cart. So, I would not be overly concerned about anything that can fit in a golf bag, unless you're, maybe bringing cinder blocks to the course. It can handle pretty much anything.
Do you suggest running the battery cycle, to drain and thing? And I believe with the new lithiums, you technically don't have to do that. I just charge mine after my round and I keep it plugged in and then unplug when I'm ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. We do have some, suggestions, if you will, if you're taking a whole winter or summer off, that I'm happy to, it's kind of a full bullet point list that I'm happy to share. Maybe on the forum, I can post
we'll
some
start
suggestions.
A forum thread on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I can just, post those. But aside from that, certainly that's the good part, as you mentioned with lithium, is just keep the thing charged. And go. There's no need to cycle the battery, certainly between rounds.
Ernie asked if they're available in big box stores. I know Budget Golf has them. That would be online. And I believe, and I'm not going to out this, so we're going to ask Roger to cover his ears. I believe the THP coupon works.
I heard a rumor that it might work on Budget.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a key place where I would direct people to go. We are online with Budget, with Worldwide Golf, with Dick's Sporting Goods. We're in a few non-national account big box retail doors, Pro Golf Seattle, for instance, Hagen Oaks. But on the, national chain side, online with, like I said, Worldwide with Budget, and Dick's and Galaxy.
Doug asked if stand bags work well with these. Now, we know your stand bag does, but do all stand bags work pretty well?
In general, and it's I guess it depends on a couple things. Pocket placement on stand bags is pretty key, just to make sure that everything's sticking kind of out where, instead of some of them can kind of get under the bag a bit. The biggest thing is to make sure that there's a strap for the stands. I think that's the biggest issue that I've seen with stand bags in general, is if there's no strap on the bottom for the stand itself, sometimes those legs tend to kick out. As long as there's a strap like our
found that out the hard way.
Yeah, as long as there's a strap like our Hydroflex has, then I haven't seen any issues at all. Or create a makeshift, that tie a rubber band around it, something to keep those stands down. Other than that, it's been great.
Sean asked if they'll work in extreme heat because his lawnmower battery doesn't.
Whew. Yeah, 115. I mean, that's you're dedicated. Well, unless you're somewhere where if you're not playing in 115, you're not playing at all. I haven't come across an instance where a cart had failed due to heat or to cold. I'm going to admit that I haven't played or walked a lot of rounds in 115 degree heat. I think it gets up to 85 here in Carlsbad. So
You're going to make some enemies with those comments.
Maybe. But certainly haven't had any instances on failure for overheating.
I can tell you in the cold, I did walk with Jose in 35 degrees. Now, keep in mind, he made it 4 holes, but we did, and we used the MotoCaddy, and the thing was stuffed with about 35 clubs.
Yep.
And it worked no problem.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I will say when it's that hot, I certainly wouldn't leave battery in the trunk. If it's 115 outside, it gets a lot hotter than that. So just for precaution, make sure that once you're done, you kind of take everything inside at a heat that high, but should not be an issue.
Now, Todd asked this question, and if you go over to the forum in our golf caddy section, we actually have the 2022 lineup that Dean started a thread on, and you can talk about it there. But yes, this is coming. We're pretty excited about it. As you know, my feelings towards the M5 and my lack of remote. Now I want one. Can you kind of tell people timeline and things like that?
Yeah, we're looking
the best you can.
For sure. Yeah, we're looking towards end of summer. It's home stretch on development. Unfortunately, some of our location for our development is on the Ukraine side, so we'll leave it at that. But we're so obviously our thoughts with them. But
like you can't gloss over that with everybody.
Yeah, listening. No, it's not to get too deep into that, but obviously our thoughts are with them. But product coming, it looks like hopefully late summer. I think M5 GPS, the response has been absolutely phenomenal with that GPS. The one question we get all the time is, where's the remote, right? I need the remote. So M7 GPS is an exciting product. And, the development in that is kind of one step above where we are with M5 GPS. So we're going to be offering what we're calling a performance plan with this. So it'll be a 12-month free trial. It'll have full hole view versus just green side, enhanced green vision with bunkers. So you can actually push on, what's the yardage to the bunker, past the bunker, enhanced stat tracking. So not only will you be able to keep your score, but fairways hit, number of putts, all kind of track through a free MotoCaddy app. So pretty excited about that. And like I said, towards end of summer on that product.
So this is a question that you and I have talked extensively about, which is the follow feature. And I told you a story long before we started working closely together about a friend of mine having a follow feature from a different cart, and it did fall. It went into a pond. And you made the comment of golfers in general like to have their caddies in front of them. And I'd never thought of that before, but it's true. Is it something you guys are even doing research on, or is it something that it's not something that most golfers want other than the idea of it just following you? The remote is super easy to use.
Right. I would say the idea is fantastic. Not having to do anything completely, as hands-free as remote is, completely hands-free. The thought is great. We do have something in test that we've been testing for quite a while. It's one of those things that you have to get 100% right. You can't get follow mode 95% right, because that's how something ends up running somebody over in the water or whatever it may be. I know that there's some other, some other OEMs that have follow features that most of the time are pretty good. They might say you need up to 15 feet of clearance left and right just to make sure, that's tough. So, it's one of those, if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. But also feedback that I've gotten from those that have follow, pretty exciting at first, and then they kind of stop using it. So having the product in front of you, or worst case beside you, so you're not just constantly looking over your shoulder, is kind of a big deal. Me personally, if I'm using a remote, I like to have it 20-25 yards up in front, just kind of frees me up to be able to talk to buddies. I know that if I had it even 20 feet behind me as I'm walking up the fairway, I'd be so tense looking over my shoulder, just making sure that it was still there. So I'm a big fan of in front. And like you said, to kind of have the ultimate caddy, having it kind of clubs are right there with you, to me is the way to go. So
Scott asks about the battery being removed, and I've made mention of this 1,000 times. Scott, I can tell you that all you do is unplug it and it slides out. It's so easy to do. There's no Velcro. There's no nothing. it's super easy.
Yeah, and I will say, so on the charging side, you certainly can take the battery out, leave the cart in your trunk to charge that separately. Or like you said, just unplug it from the cart and plug it into the charger. You actually don't even have to take it out of the cart tray.
Yeah.
So it's as accessible and easy to use as you could pretty much possibly make it.
How far can the cart be away from you for the remote still to work?
Yeah, so 50 meters is what we have listed. I'll kind of say that I've gotten it out a little further than that. Good news too is when you get out of range, it doesn't keep going. It actually just stops. So I think that's a concern people have. If it gets out of range and the remote doesn't work, it's just going to go to until it runs something over.
Have you tested that?
I've gotten pretty far. So I'll say
Okay.
that I tested it out on a long straight shot, not around people. So, but 50 meters is the called out cutoff. To be honest, I've gone, 75, 80 yards without an issue. Stop, bring it back. Still super easy. You don't lose control when the remote still works with it being in front. So I will say that it's as easy to left, right, stop, slow down as if it was right in front of you.
So for those following along, you might have seen we put out the details of our event. And what we have planned is you're coming to Nashville. Mm-hmm. Chris Vachal from Mizuno's coming to Nashville. And you guys are going to play golf with these guys, and you're giving them new MotoCaddies.
Yep.
2 lucky winners. We're going to pay for the airfare, hotel, food, the whole 9 yards, and you're going to play golf with Roger and Chris and enjoy your time out there. And you're going to have to review these after the fact. People want to know about your game.
It's not as just like everybody else that's married with kids, not what it once was. Hovering it right around a 1 right now. But I'll tell you, I have a lot more fun playing now than when I was actually good and competitive. So we're going to have a blast. As you mentioned, giving away a MotoCaddy, your choice in we carry 4 models of golf bags. So your choice in a color and model of bag. I know Vosh is kind enough to be providing a driver, which is super exciting. I'm going to see if there's any way I can get in on that one. But
I got you one already. Don't worry.
Perfect. And then who knows? We might have a couple other fun goodies there for them. So going to be a good time. Super excited.
We're going to have signups. The dates are listed for the sign up in that thread. You guys are definitely going to want to check that out. I mean, not to get expletive, but it's free. I mean, we're paying for the airfare, the hotel, all the food, the drinks. You're supplying a MotoCaddy. Vosh is bringing a driver. You get a new bag. You basically have to just bring your clubs. Now, somebody brought up an interesting point, which is how are they going to get the MotoCaddy back? And my response, slightly snarky, I said, you got a free trip, pay to ship it back. But we're happy to do that. We'll ship it to you. We will get it to them for sure. After the fact, that's no problem at all.
Yeah.
They're making fun of you saying you hover around a 1 and you're no longer good at golf. That is pretty funny if you think about it. But I think overall people are going to have an absolute blast. And we cannot wait to see who's going to win this trip and be able to join you. And my course is set up perfectly for this. We're playing at Bluegrass, so it's going to be a great time. Guys, if you have any other questions about this, drop them in the 2022 product thread. And if I don't have an answer for you or Dean doesn't have an answer because he's been super helpful in this, Roger will come in and answer them as well. And we look forward to seeing everybody out there enjoying the walk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm listed as if you see MotoCaddy chiming in on your threads, that's me. So if you want to tag MotoCaddy in a question on your forum, your site, I'm on there quite a bit and happy to respond where I can. So
thanks so much, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to doing this again.
Thanks, guys. JB, thank you.